Let's bring in Jeff
process.
Judkins because he's our good friend. And it's always nice to have him on. Jamming with Juddy, BYU basketball coach on the women's side, and now enjoying some recruiting as well.
Do you have any blue goggles?
I don't. Thank you.
He's got some now.
I think I have a pair.
I'll get some later from you or whatever.
Thank you.
You can wear those whenever you're doing whatever.
Okay, I'll do it. I'll do it when I'm coaching, huh?
Tom Homo wore them in the room.
In the selection room.
Yeah, he sent us pictures.
We
That's
have
awesome.
we have
Try and
proof
top
of
that.
That'll be hard to top. That'll be hard.
Coach, your hair looks good, growing out nicely.
Not like Jordan. His hair's going fast. Mine's going slow.
I'll take your jumper over my hair though. I would love to have your jumper.
Okay. All right, you can take it. I'll touch it right now. Now it's on you.
Like Space Jam or something. Monsters.
That's right.
Jeff Judkins, it's Jamming with Juddy in Studio B. Dave Rose now on the market for an assistant coach. What do you look for in an assistant when you have to begin that process?
Well, Dave has had, as you mentioned earlier, he hasn't had a lot of changes, and there's a lot of good reason for that. First of all, BYU's had a pretty good program, and I think Dave Rose is an easy guy to work for, and BYU is really here with the facilities and all what you have. It's a great job, and so a lot of people like to stay here and do it. I think every coach that gets into it, most of the time, most of them want to be a head coach. That's kind of their goal is to be successful as assistant and then have an opportunity to coach and be your own coach. I think what happens with a lot of coaches is they're picky. They don't want to just jump into something just to be jumping into something and because they have a good job. And so, but if I was Dave, I know Dave's already done it. He's hired people that fits into his scheme of things. Somebody that he trusts, somebody that he believes will be loyal to him, and then also will be able to fit in and recruit the kind of player that he needs here at BYU. A lot of people don't realize Mark Pope was a very good recruiter.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, you can go say big man and you can go say all this stuff, but Mark is a very, very good recruiter. And way back in the days when I recruited Mark, when he was a young player, I could tell he was going to be a coach someday because of the way he handled that relationship with me. And I think Mark is excellent. He knows a lot of people. He's got a lot of connections, and that's going to be tough to really replace. But I know Dave's like me. You want your assistant coaches if they want that opportunity to be able to really do it. And Mark will do a great job in Utah Valley. I think he will really come in and get some better players. And I think his coaching skill and what he does will really make that program great.
So you recruited Pope when he was a player?
I did.
What was that like?
It's a crazy story. You hear this all the time from people. My nephew, my son, my grandson's a good player. And so you always respond to those. So I had a good friend that he said, my nephew is a really good player. And I'm going, yeah, sure. And so I go and watch Mark play. And I take Coach Majerus with me, and we go see him play. And Majerus hits me and says, hey, we got to get that kid. He was really good. He was being recruited by everybody. And, of course, we got into the top three. Mark made his choice as top three. We were in the top three, and then he ended up going.
Who was the third? Because Washington, he went there.
I think the other one was, if I remember right, was UCLA. I could be wrong, but I know Washington was his number one choice for a lot of reasons. One is close to home, and he liked the coach, and he also had a girlfriend at that time, and all these things were going on. But I thought we'd have a shot, and we tried, and then he ended up going to Washington. Then he left, and then it was out of us, BYU, and Kentucky, were his three choices, I think, and then he ended up going to Kentucky and having a great career there.
Did okay there.
Did all right.
Won a national championship.
Yeah.
Jeff Judkins with us on BYU Sports Nation. He recruited Mark Pope. We learned that just moments ago. Obviously, recruiting is high on the list of what Dave Rose is going to want someone to come in and do because of the vacancy that Mark leaves in that area. Is there anything else specifically along with the recruiting that you look for when you want to go on and hire an assistant coach?
Well, it's kind of what I said. I think a lot of it is you've got people that you've maybe you've coached against or with, or you've done things that you feel comfortable with. I know Dave's going to hire the best person for that job. And people don't realize that sometimes. Sometimes people think, well, I paid my dues, so now I'm going to move up and I'm going to get that position. Dave is going to hire the best person in that job, who he thinks is going to do the best job. And who could it be? The names you've mentioned, every one of those coaches have got something they can bring to the table. Now, when I hired my last assistant coaches, I had my other coaches that were still with me in the process, because they have to work with them every day. They have to deal with them. And so, yeah, I might think this person's great, but my assistant coaches don't want to work with that person. It's going to cause problems. But Dave has a lot of good people to pick from, and I'm sure he will really weigh this and do the best that he can. The nice thing that people don't realize, this coaching field, it's security means something. They know Dave's going to be here till 2020. He's on contract. So that's a real positive thing for a coach that wants to come in and know that, hey, I can work hard and get this program even better than what it is right now and try to do that. But I know I'm going to be here for a while because Dave's got his security. So I don't know. I know Dave's going to look at ex-players. I'm sure he's going to look at coaches. You mentioned Ainge. If he wants to get into college, this is his time. Mark Matz is the same way. Mark's now in the NBA. Does he want to get into college? And I think what Mark needs to do is he needs to go talk to Alex Jensen and say, how fun is it to be on the road 3.5 months of a year when it's hard. It really is. A college coach is not like that. But there's some great candidates. I'm sure Dave's going to, he'll evaluate it very well.
Is there anyone we missed that is out there for discussion that you think?
I didn't hear you mention, but to me, Lee Kennard would be
Okay.
Yeah, because
Playing
he's
professionally in Europe
playing.
still?
He's playing, and I think he's winding down. I'm sure he's getting, and maybe I know in the past I've talked to Lee when he's worked it out, and he's always seemed like he's pretty interested in coaching. I think he would be one. I don't know if you mentioned Fred Roberts. I know Fred Roberts is a guy that I think would be interested in getting back into coaching. Travis Hansen. I don't know if he's been brought. Chris Burgess, I heard coming down this morning, his name mentioned. Of course, he didn't play here, but
Roger Reed would recommend him.
Coming there's some guys that are some players. I don't know about the coaches that are into coaching right now, but those are kind of guys that I think ex-players that might have some interest in it.
Okay.
It's a small fraternity when you look at it. And so when you lose a good friend like Mark Pope and a guy who's been with you for 4 years, what's the most difficult part about that separation when you're the head coach losing an assistant?
Well, Dave's counted on Mark in a lot of ways that Dave didn't have to worry about. Is he doing this and he's doing it the way that I want him to do it and whatever. So now wherever he hires, he has to go through and they have to learn what's going on in the system and how they want to do things. And Dave has to maybe watch it a little bit more. The other thing is, Mark was a hard worker. I mean, I'd go to, I'd practice, he'd be running stuff with the players and doing all those things. And I think, can you get somebody that's going to work as hard and understand that? He was over defense from what I understand, and the big man and recruiting and all those things. And so you got to have somebody that's going to fit into that, and now Mark's got Mark's got a hard too. Now, what's he going to do? Now, is he going to take some of the BYU coaches, maybe some of them that are a little bit down the road, maybe a film coordinator to bring him with him, or maybe director of ops? Is he going to take one of these guys with him that he feels comfortable with? So it's kind of a domino effect. It's kind of everything starts going around fast, and you got to do it. You got to do it pretty quick because recruiting's coming up in 2 weeks, where you can go out and you can start recruiting again. So it's a tough deal.
Yeah, welcome to the club.
Yeah, it's tough. It is.
Is when an assistant coach goes and becomes a head coach, I imagine there's mixed feelings there because one, they're leaving you, but two, they have the opportunity to be a head coach, and that's, I guess, validating in a way that they're a good coach, right?
It is. You're talking about the tree. every head coach, no matter what, they like that. Come on. I mean, one of your assistants gets a head job and then it just keeps going.
That happened with you,
know,
so you have to respect that.
I mean,
right?
yeah, and it's nice because you feel like that you've taught them well and they've learned and you've been successful, or they wouldn't be getting these jobs. That's the one big knock I would say on Coach Majerus, is he really didn't do a great job of pushing his assistants to get head jobs. He didn't really. I mean, Donnie Daniels was there for a long time. Joe Cravens finally got a head job. Early Wine, Tommy Connor. I mean, all these guys that have been with him. A lot of us didn't until I finally got one. And Donnie has been with Gonzaga now for 3 or 4 years. Has done a great job. Tommy Connor's working his way. Chris Jones, you mentioned him. He was in that tree. So you kind of hope it happens. Yeah.
Coach, great to hear from you. We wish you the best of luck on your recruiting trail, which apparently never, ever, ever ends.
No.
And it's just one part of what you deal with. But great to have the insight and what it's like to look for an assistant coach.
Yeah, it's hard. But I think it's exciting because I know Mark's happy what he's doing, and I know Dave's happy for Mark because the head coach has to be very supportive when they're playing for jobs, and so we'll see what happens. It's just I hope they play each other. That would be a great thing.
I would like it.
It'll be nice.
Jamming with Juddy. His hair's looking fresh. As is Jaren's. Coach, thanks for the time.
Thank you, guys.